As you can see here, we have a number of open points to cover to engage the stakeholders in agile way. By doing each one of these steps, we as a project manager can improve this engagement levels of the stakeholders that are involved. So all these steps are, I keep repeating this again and again, these are not in addition to the processes that we have learned. These are the way in which the processes have to be done, right? So these are just an explanation of the same processes in a just different way. So I hope you get that message. So let's learn each of these points and understand what PMI wants us to learn, or how PMI wants us to handle the projects in agile way. The first thing is educating the stakeholders. So what we get to learn here is, first thing, we have to ensure that team has enough knowledge. If there is a lack of motivation within the team, then the project manager's duty is that the motivation has to be improved. The risk of falling back, that means the project development team, whenever they face any problem, they tend to go back to the traditional way, right? So that is called the risk of falling back. So how the project manager can stop it, how the project manager can improve the awareness of the agile methodology, and how we can boost the performance of the team. And lastly, how we will, or when we say we, it is the project manager, how the project manager engages the team a lot. Right? So these points we will learn. So the agile or the scrum method, no, it's a comparatively new concept. So most people, they do not have enough knowledge about this process actually. So all these things that we learned yesterday, the sprints, the daily meetings, for example, working in the task-based environment, all of these activities, they might look too heavy and restrictive. So if you are from a manufacturing background, these task-based activities, they are actually not so fire friendly. In manufacturing sector, what usually happens is there is always a fire somewhere, and every stakeholder works on putting that fire off. When I say fire, there is a burning issue or a burning problem everywhere, and everybody is running here and there. Let us solve this problem. Let us solve that problem. So there is an issue there. We have to solve that. We have a production loss. We have to increase our production. These things keep on running over and over, and everybody is busy doing something. Now, if you go to such a team and then tell you have to do only this 10 number of tasks for next 2 weeks to come, it's very difficult for them to digest it. So there might be some people or some resistance thinking that this agile process is too restrictive, right? So, and they may think that in addition to the processes that I already have, in addition to all this firefighting, or in addition to all this ad hoc tasks that I have, you are giving me additional tasks, right? So people might think like this. So we have to, when I say we, it's the project manager. The project manager has to educate them that they are actually trying to streamline their processes. They are actually trying to move the stakeholders from firefighting to a very organized way of working, right? So the agile way of working is going to stop this firefighting one day, right? So it cannot happen on the same day that we start thinking, well, okay, from tomorrow I'll start the agile way. Right? The things doesn't happen like this. So what happens is the stakeholders from the development, let's take an example, they are not so motivated to follow this agile way. For example, take the case of a product owner. What should a product owner do? He should first list down all the product backlogs, and then from the product backlogs, each backlog, he has to create a project backlog. From this list of backlogs from the project, he has to prioritize the tasks, right? So it's a heavy job, it's a time taking job. And if the product owner is quite busy with the same project but doing some other activity and not doing this prioritization, then the things that should happen in the sprint, they will never happen. So that's just an example, but all the activities, for example, the scrum master, if he doesn't organize the daily meetings, if he doesn't organize the sprint review meetings or retrospective meetings, the sprint will never happen. So all this is happening because there is a lack of knowledge within the team. So if this continues for a longer time, what happens is that people lose the motivation to work, right? After a certain time, they will just think, okay, the agile method was just another type of new approach which the organization has tried. The things are not working out. So let us also not spend much energy in attending these daily meetings or giving regular updates or creating the lessons learned. all this seems too much for them. So they will lose the motivation. So that's talking about this lack of motivation here. So if this motivation also gets, lack of motivation also keeps on continuing, what happens is that the people will start going back to the traditional way of working. They will automatically go towards the waterfall methodology, where they are totally against the change. The planning will be done for next 2 3 years to come, right? So there will not be any frequent reviews or updates, or continuous feedback mechanism will not be there. So that is this risk of falling back. So the people will tend to go back to the traditional way. So as a project manager, we have to stop this by educating the stakeholders. So the Scrum Master, or we as the project manager, have to use certain methodologies or awarenesses to avoid this risk of falling back. And we are all telling that, okay, we should do it, we should do it, we should create the awareness, we should stop the risk of falling back. But how to actually do it? How to, in reality, how to actually bring the people to come forward to go to this agile way? So there are some benefit, or some of the steps that any project manager could follow. First thing is that we have to show them the benefits of agile management. What are these? The agile processes actually, they target to reduce the overheads, the ad hoc task, whatever we told, the firefighting that happens after 1 or 2 sprints. You have to make sure, when I say you as a scrum master or the project manager, you have to make sure that the ad hoc tasks are slowly coming down, and the streamlined, regular tasks are building up. So if you convince the team that, see, your backlog tasks are slowly reducing, your ad hoc tasks are slowly reducing, the firefighting has reduced slowly, that means all these trivial things that we are that the team is doing, they are not going to disturb your sprints to come. So it goes to and fro. If you are doing the agile way, the ad hoc tasks will not be there. If you are doing ad hoc tasks, the sprint will not be there. So this, you have to convince them by actually showing them the results. So, and secondly, the project manager should never lose track of an open issue. As the sprint goes, there will be so many open issues, right? So everything that comes up to our table, as the work, it gets converted to a task, and then it straight away goes to the list of backlogs, right? If you don't list this open item in the backlogs, that means it is an ad hoc. So every problem that the stakeholder or the development team is facing, you should encourage the people to list it as a backlog. Then what happens is that they will actually start seeing things more clearly, right? Okay, this is the same backlog that my project manager or the scrum master is talking about. So if I finish the same ad hoc tasks for this sprint as a priority task, then I don't have to redo it again, right? So that kind of confidence the project manager has to give to the stakeholders. And then the project manager has to show them the weekly progress of the project. What happens is, if they are doing this ad hoc tasks or the firefighting every day, the things, like, they run every day, but they move nowhere. So, but the agile way is not like that, because in every sprint we have progressive steps or the progressive feedbacks. Even the prioritization is done that way. What happens is the project keeps moving forward in that rhythm, right? So every 2 weeks, some certain number of tasks are completed. The work slowly starts going down. The scope gets more and more clear, right? So all these benefits, the little benefits, the quick wins, we as a project manager have to show to the development team or any other stakeholder that, see, because of your agile way of working, 30% of the work is already complete, or 40%, 50% of the work is complete. Such statuses, the scrum master has to regularly keep on updating to the stakeholders, right? So if you do these activities, stakeholders are going to get educated, and they'll be motivated for, they'll come forward to work in this agile way.